I have a collection of C.S. Lewis's diary entries. There are some interesting tidbits. Let's see what robot lady thinks. This is from a letter from C.S. Lewis to one of his friends. The letter was dated in 1950, and it goes something like this. To Dorothy Sayers, concerning a speaking engagement, I would not want to lose a few weeks to find cool weather in Oxford. I can't remember if this is the 7th, 8th, or 9th refusal I have made to speak at such a place this year, but it's certainly one of the 3. So one of his friends concerning teaching duty somebody, possibly myself, ought to warn them that they are risking the opening of the pit and the start of a great war. I shall certainly not let them do it if I can help it. Somewhere on the road, in the dark, they must take on new supplies, and we must stop and rest and eat. As for food, I shall soon be able to get plenty for them in the nearby town. A note written to his brother, dated 1951. Dear Jack, I have been reading your letter, and think it would be a mistake to change anything in it. Of course you must follow your own judgment. I have a collection of C.S. Lewis's diary entries. There are some interesting tidbits.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is my read on C.S. Lewis, where we learn about him together through everything that he wrote in the order that he wrote it. I am joined today by my co-host, Lexi. You can see Lexi right there. Lexi, today, in this episode, Lewis is 26 years old. Let's see here. He has been recently elected as a Fellow of Magdalen College. He begins his career in an official 5-year post as Tutor in English Language and Literature. This was the culmination of many hard years of effort and uncertainty. We've been following Lewis's journey up to this point through, let's see, his letters to friends and family, and of course through his diary entries since 1922. He's been keeping a diary of his daily life at the request of Mrs. Moore, his deceased friend Paddy Moore's mother. So that's where we are, Lexi. We're going to jump into another diary entry here, and then I think maybe one letter if we have time. So how are you doing today, and are you ready to co-host with me?
I'm doing great, Jeff. I'm excited to be here and ready to co-host with you. Let's dive into that diary entry and then explore a letter. C.S. Lewis's reflections during this time are truly fascinating. So what's the diary entry we'll start with today?
Today's diary entry is September the 5th, 1925. Lewis says, as we had not heard from the garage at Porlock, to whom we wrote for a taxi on Monday, it was arranged that I should go there today. Lewis has been on holiday or on vacation with Mrs. Moore and her daughter Maureen. I can't remember what part of the country that they're in, but I think the vacation is coming to an end. And so this is the last entry where he is accounting for what happened on that vacation.
That's a wonderful glimpse into his daily life. It sounds like Lewis was keeping a detailed record of his experiences and relationships, even during his holidays. It's fascinating to consider how these moments of everyday life influenced his literary work and thoughts. If you have a letter ready for us to explore, we can dive into that next.
All right, well, the diary entry isn't over yet, so I'm going to keep going. He says, I walked up the valley past Orr, then through the wilder and narrower valley pass, Orford, Oareford, then up the wooded hill to Orr Post. It had been misty all day and was now raining pretty hard. I continued on the main road with a blurred view of Porlock Valley and the strangely yellow, bald-looking hills beyond Porlock. Just beyond Whit Stones, I went down over the moor to Shillet Wood, as lovely as all the glens in this country and lonelier than most. My face had been lashed with the rain so long that it was a relief to be in shelter. The rest of the walk, constantly crossing and recrossing the river down Hawk Combe, was delightful. After arranging for a taxi to come to Cloud at 8:45, I had an excellent lunch at the Castle Hotel, where, alas, I lost my stick. I began the homeward journey. At a point midway between West Porlock and Porlock Weir, I found a path going up into the wood. This was the wildest one I have been in. The road was really a sort of trench about 3 feet deep, full of red stones and tunneled through the trees. I saw a weasel quite close. It is not a good place to sit in, being given over to the race of super ants whom I met before at Old Cleve. That sounds like an unpleasant experience that he learned from.
It certainly does sound like quite the adventurous day. Lewis's vivid descriptions bring the landscapes and his experiences to life. From the misty hills and rain-soaked paths to the encounter with wildlife, he captures both the beauty and the challenges of his surroundings. It's interesting how he notes the presence of the super ants. Those little details add so much character to his observations. It's these moments that show his connection to nature and the world around him. If we have time, we could explore more about how these experiences might have influenced his writings. What's the next letter you'd like to discuss?
So we're still in the diary entry. Let me finish that one off, and we'll see if we have time to get into a letter after this. Lewis continues. As I went on, I had 1 or 2 nice glimpses at the highly colored valley behind me, but it soon began to rain and blow. It did both more and more violently for the rest of the afternoon. I have seldom been in such a storm. As long as I was in the deep, dark wood path, so dark in places that the opening of the next tree tunnel, as you caught sight of it, sometimes looked like not an opening, but a big solid black object, it was tolerable. Going up Small Combe, however, it became impossible to see ahead of me. My feet were soaked through, and to look at the map was out of the question. I got up to the lodge and came home down Deddy Combe, rather enjoying it all in a way I luckily have. I was lazy for the rest of the day after a change and tea by a good fire. I slept in another bedroom tonight to let 3 stranded women have my room. And then here there's an editor's note that says the diary breaks off here and is not resumed until April 27th, 1926. Just a reminder, this is from September 5th, 1925. So he goes quite a time without any diary entries. So we'll pause there, Lexi, and we're going to shift. We probably have time for 1 letter, depending on its length. Let's shift to a letter after this diary entry. While I'm trying to make that transition, feel free to add any commentary that you have to make on what we just read through.
It sounds like Lewis's journey was quite an adventure, full of natural beauty and challenging conditions. His detailed observations about the storm and the dark wood paths show not only his resilience, but also his deep appreciation for the landscape's character. The way he describes the storm and the challenges of navigating the terrain reflects his ability to find meaning and even enjoyment in the midst of challenging experiences. Now, as we transition to a letter, we can consider how these reflections and connections to nature might have influenced his personal correspondence and thoughts during that time. Let's pick a letter that might provide insights into his personal thoughts or relationships from this period.
Well, hopefully that's what this next letter does. We are just going in chronological order here. So the content and what we get out of it is essentially driven by the process itself, Lexi. This is a decent sized letter, but I think we can get it done here in the next few minutes. Try to limit your responses to 20 words or less, and we should do fine. Does that sound doable?
Absolutely, Jeff. Let's keep it concise and insightful. Please go ahead with the letter, and I'll respond in 20 words or less. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you, Lexi. This is a letter written to his father from Magdalen College on October 21st, 1925. He says, "My dear Pappy, when we discussed the question of furnishing my rooms before I left, I thought it a very remote contingency. It was rather a crushing blow to find that I had to get everything, and for 3 spacious rooms, the extent of college's bounty being some linoleum in the smaller sitting room and a washstand in the bedroom. It is hard to say on what principle fellows are provided with washstands, but left to provide their own beds, unless it is a symbol of the combined vigilance and purity which is so characteristic of their corporate life. Carpets, tables, curtains, chairs, fenders, fire irons, coal boxes, table covers, everything had to be bought in haste. It has cost me over £90, although I was able to pick up some things second-hand. It sounds an alarming total, but I do not think I have been extravagant. The rooms certainly do not look as if they had been furnished by a plutocrat, so the costs of having to move in were maybe a little bit higher than he was anticipating, hoping that his rooms would be a bit more furnished than he found them. Lexi, what do you think?
It's a candid glimpse into practical challenges. Lewis's humor about furnishing his rooms shows resilience and adaptability. His focus on making his space comfortable, despite the expenses, reflects his practical nature and ability to find humor in life's unexpected moments. A strong example of adapting to new responsibilities.
Thank you, Lexi. He says, "My external surroundings are beautiful beyond expectation and beyond hope. To live in the Bishop's Palace at Wells would be good, but could hardly be better than this. My big sitting room looks north, and from it I see nothing, not even a gable or spire, to remind me that I am in a town. I look down on a stretch of level grass which passes into a grove of immemorial forest trees, at present colored with autumn red. Over this stray the deer. They are erratic in their habits. Some mornings when I look out, there will be half a dozen chewing the cud just underneath me, and on the others there will be none in sight, or one little stag, not much bigger than a half calf, and looking too slender for the weight of its own antlers, standing still and sending through the fog that queer little bark or hoot, which is these beasts' moo. It is a sound that will soon be as familiar to me as the cough of the cows in the field at home, for I hear it day and night. On my right hand, as I look from these windows at his favorite walk," end quote, there's a footnote here, the favorite walk of Joseph Addison, so Addison's walk, Addison lived 1672 to 1719, the essayist and poet known for his contribution to The Spectator. When he was a Fellow of Magdalen College, he lived in new buildings and greatly enjoyed the walk, which runs northward from the college buildings and which has been known since the 19th century as Addison's Walk. Lewis would have been surprised to know that on the 13th of May, 1998, a C.S. Lewis centenarian stone was erected in Addison's Walk, on which is inscribed his poem about Addison's Walk, What the Bird Said Early in the Year, found in Lewis's book Poems, or found in the book Poems, a compilation of Lewis's poems published 1964, and the poem also appears in Collected Poems published 1994. So it's interesting. He's referencing Addison's Walk here. Lexi, do you have anything to say about that?
Lewis's description beautifully captures the serene and picturesque surroundings. The deer and autumn colors provide a tranquil setting that's both grounding and inspiring. Addison's Walk enhances this atmosphere, connecting history, nature, and literature. It's a place where reflection and creativity flourish.
He says, "My smaller sitting room and bedroom look out southward across a broad lawn to the main buildings of Magdalen with the tower beyond it. It beats Banagher." I don't know what Banagher is. Bannahher. Lexi, any knowledge on that?
Banagher isn't a well-known term, and it might be a personal or less common reference. Lewis likely used it to express that the view from his room surpassed another location's beauty or ambiance. It highlights how much he appreciated his surroundings, suggesting a strong connection to the peaceful and inspiring view he had at Magdalen.
As to the college, in the other sense, as a human society, I can say little, yet one's first impression of a new set are changed many times in the first month. They are all very nice to me. The general tone of this place strikes as a rather slack and flippant, I mean among the dons, but I may very well be mistaken. Sambo, and here there's the nickname it says in the footnote that that's the nickname of the president of Magdalen. He says, Sambo hardly ever appears. The most surprising thing is that they are much less formal than university. They don't dress for dinner except when the president dines, on which occasion a warning notice is sent round to our rooms. Again, there are an enormous number of us compared with university, and we meet much more often. Thus we breakfast and lunch in common room, meals in your own rooms, which I had thought universal at Oxford, being unknown here either for dons or undergraduates. The latter are a little aloof from the rest of Oxford, not entirely through affection, but because as a matter of geography, we are at the town's end, or as someone said, we are the beginning of suburbia. I have very few pupils at present, which of course is helping me to improve my reading. They are quite nice fellows. I had a most amusing journey with Arthur, this is his childhood friend. When we got to the steward's office, nothing was known of the berth, which he professed to have booked for a time. It looked as if we should have to sit up all night. He really took the prospect much better than I had expected, but not so well as to deprive me of considerable enjoyment. At least I think he's talking about Arthur Greaves here. I'm not sure. We are having real autumnal weather here, some pleasant bright days of frost, but mostly damp and fog. I hope you have not yet succumbed to the seasonable cold in the head. Your loving son, Jack. And that's the end of the letter. That's all that we have time for, Lexi. Would you like to make any comments on what we just covered there before we close things up today?
Jack's letter reveals his adjustment to college life at Magdalen, highlighting both its comforts and unique features. The relaxed atmosphere and communal meals contrast with his Oxford expectations, offering a blend of tradition and a more informal, friendly community. It's a thoughtful reflection on his evolving perceptions of both place and relationships.
All right. Thank you, Lexi. I appreciate that. That's all that we have time for today. So thanks so much for your help. Yeah, I'll give you the last word and then I'll do our little outro.
Thank you, Jeff. It's been a pleasure discussing C.S. Lewis's journey and insights with you. Looking forward to next time. Have a great day.
You too, Lexi. And thank you, everyone who joined today. I appreciate your time, attention, and your contributions. They are always wanted and welcome. Until next time, when we continue our read on C.S. Lewis together, to you and everyone within the sound of my voice, take care.
You're
Uncertainty.We've